Have you ever walked through a storm so dark, so brutal that it felt like the gates of hell were breathing down your neck? Have you ever cried out to God in the midnight hour and all you got in return was silence, thick, deafening, divine silence? If that's you, listen carefully, because what looks like silence is not abandonment. It's preparation, it's protection, it's God dispatching angels, invisible and fierce, to wage war for your soul behind the veil of the unseen. You are not alone. You were never alone. Right now, yes, right now, heaven is moving on your behalf. When your heart broke, but you didn't know why, you still had peace. When that car missed you by inches and you thought it was coincidence. When you felt something whisper, "Don't go that way," and disaster happened where you would have been. That wasn't luck. That wasn't your intuition. That was an angel. Angels don't always come with halos and harps. Sometimes they come disguised as delays. Sometimes they look like rejections. Sometimes they show up in human form. A stranger who shows up just when you need help, then disappears without a trace. God sends angels to protect his chosen. And if you're listening to this, that means you. But before the angel moves, before heaven erupts on your behalf, before the miracle manifests, God gets quiet. He steps back and lets the fire rise around you, not because he's left you, but because he's forging a weapon. You are the weapon, and a true weapon is only trusted after it's been tested. You see, God's silence is not absence. It is a holy furnace. It's where faith stops being a theory and becomes a thunder inside your bones. It's where the fake version of you dies and the unstoppable, anointed, blood-washed warrior rises. And in that silence, when all hell is shaking and your prayers feel unanswered, God is sending angels to do the fighting you cannot see. You don't see the sword drawn over your house in the spirit realm. You don't see the demon that was assigned to you crushed before it reached your mind. You don't hear the conversations heaven is having about your purpose. But make no mistake, God has surrounded you with fire, with his fire, with angelic warriors who answer to no man, who do not bow, who do not sleep, and who do not fail. The enemy thought he could break you. He thought that divorce, that failure, that betrayal would make you curse God. He thought that sickness would steal your praise. But what the enemy didn't know was that God had already sent backup. Angels don't just protect your life, they protect your destiny. That's why some things didn't work out. That's why certain people left. That's why you were delayed. Because God wasn't just saving your day. He was saving your future. Yes, it hurt. Yes, you cried. But those tears were not wasted. They were oil. Oil for your anointing. Yes, you were broken, but God never uses anything he doesn't first break. Every pain was a classroom. Every delay was a test. Every heartbreak was a holy chisel carving out the warrior inside you. You thought it was punishment. It was promotion in disguise. You're not weak. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You are in divine training, a sharpening of the sword, forged in fire, tempered in tears, purified by pressure. Only those called to greatness are tested like this. Only those chosen to carry glory are protected like this. You've been praying for open doors, but God's been fortifying your walls. You've been asking for blessings, but God's been assigning angels. You've been wondering why it's taking so long, but God's been building something unshakable inside of you. Listen to me. There are angels around you right now. Not just watching, fight. Not just observing, delivering. You may not feel them, but your enemies do. That's why the attack got more intense, because the enemy senses what's coming. He knows God is about to launch you. He knows something is shifting. He knows your breakthrough is wrapped in the battle. You think it's just depression, but it's warfare. You think it's just anxiety, but it's resistance to your anointing. You think it's just life being hard, but it's a collision between your destiny and the demonic. But here's the truth that will shake every lie. You are surrounded by angels. They're not delicate. They're not soft. They are warriors. They are holy. They carry swords of light. And they only answer to one voice, the voice of your Father. The same God who walked into a furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The same God who sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths for Daniel. That's your God. The same God who sent an angel to strengthen Jesus in Gethsemane. That's your God. And he's not done sending angels now. Don't you dare believe the lie that you're fighting alone. Don't you dare give up in the silence. Don't you dare bow to fear when angels are standing guard over your soul. You are not ordinary. That's why your life hasn't been easy. You are not weak. That's why the attacks have been relentless. You are not forgotten. That's why heaven has kept you hidden. Because when God reveals you, he wants no man to get the credit. When he launches you, he wants the world to see it was divine. No shortcuts, no substitutes, just pure fire, born purpose. You see, the greater the calling, the fiercer the resistance. But the fiercer the resistance, the mightier the angels assigned to protect you. That storm wasn't to kill you. It was to wake you up. That valley wasn't your end. It was your training ground. There is power rising in you that hell cannot handle. There is glory dripping from you that darkness cannot dim. And there is an army of angels walking with you, moving mountains you'll never see, killing threats before they ever touch your path. So next time you feel forgotten, next time the door slams in your face, next time you cry and heaven feels silent, remember this: God is working, angels are fighting, destiny is unfolding. You don't need to see the wings to know they're there. You don't need to hear the trumpet to know the army is near. You don't need to understand the pain to know it's making you unbreakable. God sends angels when the battle is bigger than you. God sends angels when your destiny is too important to fail. God sends angels when you're about to step into something that will shift nations, generations, and bloodline. You're not just being protected, you're being positioned. You're not just being delivered, you're being deployed. You're not just surviving, you're being set apart. So stand up, shake the dust off your faith, wipe the tears from your eyes, and start walking like you are surrounded by heaven's army, because you are. You've got angels flanking you. You've got God's breath in your lungs. You've got purpose pulsing through your veins. And you've got a victory that was written before time began. So walk like a warrior. Pray like it's already done. Speak like God is in the room, because he is. And when the enemy tries to come in like a flood, remember, the Spirit of the Lord will raise up a standard. And that standard is not just a defense. It's a declaration that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, that every assignment of the enemy shall fall, that you are anointed, appointed, protected, and covered by angels who only know one outcome: your victory. So don't just survive. Don't just endure. Don't just wait for better days. Step into your calling like the battle is already won, because it is. God has sent angels to protect you, not because you're weak, but because you're chosen. And when God chooses someone, all of heaven stands guard, and all of hell gets nervous. Keep moving, keep praising, keep believing. The angels are already on assignment, and your victory is inevitable. 1. Heaven moves when God is silent. God's silence is not absence. It is a holy furnace. It's where faith stops being a theory and becomes a thunder inside your bones. This section reframes divine silence as a sacred battlefield. It's where God withdraws so he can dispatch angels and forge warriors. It breaks the illusion that silence means abandonment, awakening the listener to the divine warfare happening behind the scenes. 2. Angelic protection looks like setbacks. Angels don't always come with halos and harps. Sometimes they come disguised as delays. Sometimes they show up in human form, then disappear without a trace. This section reveals that rejection is protection. That delay, denial, or heartbreak wasn't a closed door. It was an angel guarding your destiny. This hits hard emotionally, reinterpreting pain through a prophetic lens. Stern, you are not weak. You are being sharpened. You are in divine training, a sharpening of the sword, forged in fire, tempered in tears, purified by pressure. Here the listener is reminded that their trials are evidence of their calling, not their failure. It reframes struggle as spiritual weightlifting, preparing them to carry greatness with grace and authority. 4. The greater the calling, the fiercer the angels. The greater the calling, the fiercer the resistance. But the fiercer the resistance, the mightier the angels assigned to protect you. This section is a spiritual explosion. It gives context to why life feels like warfare. It prophetically declares that God doesn't waste warriors on minor missions, and that every battle is proof of a divine promotion coming. 5. The invisible army walking with you. You may not feel them, but your enemies do. That's why the attack got more intense, because the enemy senses what's coming. A powerful unveiling of the invisible spiritual realm, this section pulls back the curtain and ignites awareness of the angelic protection currently surrounding the listener. It births unshakable faith. 6. This battle is not just for you, it's for generations. God sends angels when you're about to step into something that will shift nations, generations, and bloodlines. This finale brings the speech to a soul-thundering crescendo. It lifts the listener's vision beyond their current storm and shows them they're carrying generational breakthrough, and heaven is protecting that promise with divine fire. Section 1. Heaven moves when God is silent. There's a moment in every spiritual journey when the heavens go quiet, when prayers feel like they bounce off the ceiling, when worship feels dry, and when God's presence seems distant. It's in that silence where most people feel abandoned, forgotten, or even punished. But that's the lie, and it's time to destroy it with the truth. God's silence is not his absence. It is his strategy. When God is silent, he is not retreating, he is preparing. He is setting up divine interventions that are too holy, too massive, and too invisible for you to comprehend in the moment. In the silence, he is dispatching angels to go before you, clearing paths you didn't know were blocked, shutting doors that would have led to destruction, and lifting barriers that would have crushed your spirit. You may not see the war, but heaven is in full motion. It's in this furnace of silence that your faith is either forged or forfeited. God often steps back to let your trust be tested, not because he wants to see you fail, but because he's preparing you for power. And only faith that's been through fire can carry the weight of divine glory. Think about gold. It's only proven pure when it survives the furnace. Diamonds are only formed under pressure. So what makes you think God would prepare you for greatness without first hiding you in the silence of heaven's workshop? When God is silent, he is refining. When God is silent, he is building. When God is silent, he is assigning angels to your destiny. It's not quiet because he's gone. It's quiet because he's already spoken. And now he's letting the process take root. He's letting the warfare mature you, the waiting stretch you, and the unseen angels protect you. The silence is not rejection, it's revelation in disguise. A divine hush before heaven roars. God's silence is the camouflage of miracles. So don't mistake the silence for distance. It's a sacred signal that angels are on assignment. Stay still, stand firm, trust deep. Because when God is silent, heaven is shaking. Section 2. Angelic protection looks like setback. One of the greatest deceptions the enemy uses is to convince you that when things go wrong, God has withdrawn. That when a door closes, when you're rejected, when plans fall apart, it must mean you failed. Or worse, that God has left you exposed. But the truth is radically different. What you saw as a setback was often an angel in disguise. God doesn't always send angels in white robes and shining wings. Sometimes he sends them as disruptions. That rejection letter, that wasn't a denial of your destiny. It was a divine redirection. That breakup that shattered your heart, it wasn't punishment. It was angelic intervention saving you from a lifetime of spiritual compromise. That job you didn't get, that wasn't failure. It was God shielding your purpose from a place that would have drained your soul. We pray for God to protect us, but when he does, we often misinterpret his protection as punishment. We cry out for his will, but when he closes the door, we question his love. Why? Because we don't yet recognize the language of divine protection. Angelic protection doesn't always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels painful. Why? Because God is not interested in keeping you comfortable. He's committed to keeping you called. And your calling requires precision. God is too wise to let you succeed in a direction that would destroy you. So he assigns angels to block the path, to intervene when you're about to settle for less, to sabotage Satan's setup before you ever step into the trap. If only you could see the disaster God rescued you from. If only you knew the demonic attack he neutralized through that delay. You'd start praising him not just for what he gave you, but for what he didn't allow. Your no was an angel. Your delay was an angel. Your disappointment was a divine rescue mission. So stop calling it failure. Stop calling it rejection. Start seeing the fingerprints of angels. What you thought was a loss was God saying, I love you too much to let you settle. Heaven has your back, even when you don't understand the route. Section 3. You are not weak. You are being sharpened. You may feel exhausted, worn out, spiritually bruised from the battles nobody sees. You've questioned your strength. You've wondered if something is wrong with you. But hear this loud and clear. You are not weak. You are being sharpened. Every storm you've walked through, every tear you've cried in secret, every moment you felt like giving up, that wasn't evidence of weakness. It was evidence of divine training. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. God doesn't sharpen what he doesn't plan to use. And the greater the mission, the deeper the sharpening. Just like a sword isn't made strong by display, but by being forged in fire, beaten, stretched, and pressed, you too are in the hands of the master craftsman. He's not breaking you down, he's building you up. He's not ignoring your pain, he's using it to build a spiritual resilience the enemy cannot penetrate. You are not being discarded, you are being refined, separated from the superficial, stripped of the unnecessary, so that only your God-given essence remains, so that when you rise, you carry weight, not wounds. That pressure you feel, that's purpose knocking. That heat you're under, that's the furnace of faith. You're not overlooked, you're hidden on purpose. Sharpened in the dark so you can pierce through darkness when the time is right. When a soldier is trained, they are pushed beyond their limits, not because the commander hates them, but because war requires endurance, and in the spiritual realm, the same is true. Your warfare is training ground for rulership. God is sharpening your voice to speak with authority. He's sharpening your mind to discern truth from lies. He's sharpening your heart to carry love without compromise. So stop asking God to pull you out and start asking Him to sharpen you until you're ready. Because you are not being buried, you are being built. You are not falling apart, you are falling into place. This isn't your breaking, it's your becoming. Let the fire do its work. Because when God is done, you won't just survive, you'll lead. Section 4. The greater the calling, the fiercer the angels. You've wondered why the warfare around you is so intense, why the attacks come from every direction, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, why the people you trusted turned on you, why everything you build seems to shake before it stands. You're not cursed, you're not forgotten. Here's the truth. The size of your battle is a direct prophecy about the size of your calling. You are not in a random fight. You are in a targeted fight because you carry something sacred, something powerful, something heaven assigned and hell fears. And because of that, God has assigned angels to you that match the weight of your destiny. You're not just protected, you're guarded by heaven's elite. When God puts greatness inside someone, He doesn't leave them unarmed. He sends fierce angels, warrior spirits, messengers of fire to shield you from what the enemy meant for destruction. The devil doesn't attack empty vessels, so the intensity of your storm, it's not punishment, it's confirmation. You're marked, you're chosen, you're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, and the battle got worse because you're getting closer. Closer to purpose. Closer, yes, to breakthrough. Closer to unlocking the very thing you were born to release. And with that closeness comes reinforced protection. Angels that fight when you sleep. Angels that block car accidents. Angels that intercept demonic assignments you didn't even know were planned. You think you've been walking alone, but you've been flanked by fire. Every time the enemy thought he had you, God sent an angel to intervene. When your mind was spiraling, an angel whispered peace. When depression was suffocating you, an angel held you together. When betrayal broke your heart, an angel stood in the gap and kept your soul from collapsing. You didn't survive because you're strong. You survived because you're surrounded. God sends fiercer angels to fiercer battles because your mission is not normal. It's heaven-born, blood-covered, and destiny-sealed. So lift your head, warrior. You're not abandoned. You're not exposed. You're escorted by glory. The fight is fierce because your future is unstoppable. And heaven has assigned angels to make sure you get there. Section 5, the invisible army walking with you. You felt outnumbered, overwhelmed. Like the battles you face are too big, too heavy, and too constant. But what you don't realize, what the enemy hopes you never find out, is this. You are never alone. There is an invisible army walking with you. You may not see them with your natural eyes. You may not feel them in your flesh. But in the spirit, you are surrounded by angels, messengers of fire, protectors of destiny, defenders of the chosen. The enemy sees them. That's why the attacks escalated. That's why hell tried to take you out before you even knew who you were. Because there are angelic forces surrounding you that make demons tremble. When the prophet Elisha's servant panicked at the sight of a massive enemy army, Elisha prayed, "Lord, open his eyes that he may see." And suddenly the servant saw horses and chariots of fire, angelic warriors surrounding them on the mountains. That same spiritual protection is around you now. You don't have to see the angels to know they're there. You don't have to feel them to trust they're moving. Their presence is not based on your awareness, it's based on God's assignment. You're still here because angels fought battles you never saw. You're still breathing because heaven covered you in moments you weren't even praying. You're still sane because angels guarded your mind when it was under siege. Some of the attacks that were supposed to take you out, you never even knew about them because the angels intercepted the arrows in the unseen realm. So when you feel surrounded by fear, remember, you're actually surrounded by fire. When anxiety presses in, speak to it boldly. I'm not alone. I'm protected. I'm covered by heaven's army. The next time the enemy tries to intimidate you, laugh, because you've got angels that don't sleep, don't lose, and don't flinch. And here's the truth the enemy doesn't want you to know. You're not the one under attack. He is. Because everywhere you go, angels go with you. That means you're always walking in divine victory, even when you feel weak. Section 6. This battle is not just for you. It's for generations. The battle you're in right now isn't just about your life. It's bigger than your stress, your bills, your tears, or your unanswered prayers. You are in a bloodline battle, and what you break will never touch your children. What you overcome will become a platform for others to rise. That's why the fight has been so fierce. Because you are the one chosen to interrupt generational curses, destroy cycles of addiction, silence generational shame, and usher in a legacy of blessing, purpose, and unshakable faith. You are the one God trusted with the fight, because he also trusted you with the victory. The enemy isn't just trying to stop you. He's trying to stop what will come through you. He's terrified of your testimony. He's terrified of the ripple effect of your obedience. Because when you stand up in faith, your future children stand taller. When you refuse to give up, your legacy becomes unbreakable. And here's what you need to understand. God sends angels not just to protect your present, but to secure your future. The angel that showed up for you today, that angel is also paving the way for your lineage tomorrow. When Daniel prayed, an angel came not just with a personal message, but with insight for a nation. When Mary said yes to God, angels surrounded her, not just for her safety, but to preserve the destiny inside her womb. You are carrying something holy, something generational. And the enemy's attacks have nothing to do with your weakness, and everything to do with the magnitude of what's inside you. That's why heaven is backing you. That's why angels have been assigned to you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're pivotal in God's story. So don't measure your life by what you see now. Measure it by what God is birthing through you. You are the bridge between bondage and breakthrough. And the angels walking with you, they're not just protecting your today, they're defending your legacy. This is bigger than you. You are fighting for generations you haven't even met yet. And you will not fail because heaven is fighting with you. So now you know. You are not walking through this life alone. You are not battling unseen wars without backup. God has assigned angels, not someday, not maybe, but right now, right here, on your left and on your right, behind you and before you, in the silence, in the storm, in the waiting. Heaven has placed you under divine surveillance. You are surrounded by angels that war for you, cover you, correct your steps, and block the devil's plans. Even when you felt weak, angels held you up. Even when you nearly broke, they stood between you and destruction. Even when you thought God was distant, angels were executing his will in real time. That heartbreak, covered. That trauma, redeemed. That failure, repurposed. And now your scars are holy. Your survival is sacred. Because every setback was a setup for spiritual victory. Every tear, every unanswered prayer, every silent night was heaven shaping a warrior and surrounding that warrior with fire. God has never left you vulnerable. And if you could see in the Spirit right now, you'd fall on your face in worship. Not because of the pain you've endured, but because of the protection you never knew you had. There were angels holding back things that would have destroyed you. There were angels standing over your bed when you didn't know if you'd make it to the morning. There were angels at that intersection when the car should have hit you. There were angels at that hospital when the doctors gave up. There were angels in that courtroom, in that therapy session, in that breakup, in that failure, in that diagnosis, fighting, shielding, redirecting. And there are angels with you now. So stand up, lift your head. You are not abandoned. You are anointed. You are not vulnerable. You are heavily defended by heaven itself. You don't walk alone. You don't fight alone. You don't suffer alone. You walk with angels. You rise with purpose. And you will win because God Himself has declared it. So go forward like someone who is protected. Speak like someone covered in glory. Live like someone walking with angels. Because you are. And hell can't stop what heaven has surrounded.